Is it the first night for you here? Good stuff. There. You know. So we are week 3, I think, into the series of I Have, and this is a whole series on. We've got some lovely lights out, Josh Baldry. Hey, you see all those lights, mate? Oh no, a week you were gone. They're all out. Anyway, so are you right? We're rolling. We're good. And tonight is one of the toughest topics that you will struggle with, or every person will struggle with your entire life.
No.
And yeah, unfortunately. And so tonight we're going to talk a little bit about what am I worth? Identity. Now, for some of you, we did a whole series on this called Identity Me, and it went for about 12 weeks. And it was all about how we deal with our identity as a person. And I've had some great things happen over the weekend with just many opportunities to share with different groups of people, which was wonderful, just to be away and just to be mixing with the guys. For example, I was down at I was mixing with the guys from the Portsea Surf Lifesaving Club, the leadership team there. Patrol captains, and I had an opportunity to just sort of speak leadership into their worlds as men and women who are serving on the beach this season, which was really great. And I had a real privilege of them opening up and sharing about some of the fear that they have. If you've ever anybody been to Portsea Back Beach? How many of you swim in Portsea Back Beach? Yeah, I'll swim it, but I choose the day that I swim there, and it's a pretty interesting piece of reef down there. And so those of you who did Huck and Hold with us, we did it there a couple of years, which was really cool, but interesting. We broke a couple of jet skis off the reef, so it was brilliant. But I had that fantastic thing, and I watched a movie over the weekend. I don't know if you've seen this movie, and let me get the name right because I keep calling it something else. It's called Chasing Mavericks. Have you seen it? I would encourage you, right? It's a movie that came out. It's had Jared Butler in it, and I Am Sparta. This is a really cool movie, and it made me cry a couple of times throughout the movie, just because it touched my heart in a couple of spaces. But you've got to watch it. So it's on Netflix. It's called Chasing Mavericks. Write that down, see it, because in about 3 or 4 weeks we're going to do a night on choices, and this movie has become one of my favourite movies, and my son was watching it the day before. It was actually my son that recommended it to me, Daniel, and he said, "Dad, this is a movie that's going to be your new top one, and because Pay It Forward is one of my faves, and so I watched it, and he kept it took me about a week before I saw this thing, and I said, I have to be in the zone. He came through, I was watching the movie, he says, "Dad, just write that one off, we're going to watch this one." I said, "Nah, tell me a little bit about it," and he told me, made him cry. I said, "No, then stop. I've got to be alone when I'm watching this, I've got to be alone," And there was these moments. You ever got that in a movie where you're watching it and something happens, and all of a sudden it's like something rises up and, "Oh, I'm going to bawl my eyes out, hold on," I don't know if that's what you do, but I sort of hang on, get that constricted moment in my neck, it's like, can't really swallow properly, can't speak at that point. And no, I'm going all right, and I blink really quickly like I've got something in my eye, But this was a cool movie, and it was done. So if you look, there is a couple of movies called Chasing Mavericks. So make sure if you're on Netflix and you get it, it's called Chasing Mavericks. It's 2012. It says Jared Butler in it, and it's a surfing movie. So it is totally cool. It speaks to me because I love the water. Yeah, it is. And there's just so many messages right through it, and you'll pick it. There'll be characters in there that you'll absolutely hate. You go right from the start, you go, "Oh, I don't like that guy or that girl." So if over the next couple of weeks, get that movie, watch it together, watch it with someone, and turn around just at those moments when you think you're about to cry, turn around and have a look at them, because they will be. I can guarantee it's a good movie. So tonight we're going to be dealing with a topic that I love to deal with. I love to deal with this issue of identity. And the reason I love to deal with it is because I have seen hundreds and hundreds of people go through their life and never deal with the issue of identity, where they get their sense of self-worth from, and they live twisted out of shape their entire life. And so tonight I want to encourage you. We're going to take about a 12-week block that we would normally teach on, and we're going to jam that into about 20 minutes. So you ready to go? We're going to get amongst it. But this is about you. Now, as we talk about some of the stuff tonight, you're going to begin to think about, "Oh, that's like my friend. you know, or that's like, so if you want to use your phone, I encourage you, don't disturb people next to you and go, you know, Facebook, you know, good meme, whatever. I want you to take notes for you, and if you've got a note to take for your friend, then that would be a really cool thing. The reason for that is because during the week, when you go and see that friend, you say, you know, I was thinking about you during the week. How do you think your friend would feel?
Special.
They'd feel pretty rad about that. So here's some stuff that you may or may not know. And here's a stat. I love stats at times. I don't know if they're made up, whether they're crap, whatever. I don't know. But since 2012, the amount of time that young people spend on online has grown by 37%, which is approximately 4 to 5 hours a day online. Would that be true?
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised. I've tried to map over the last week my online usage, and I'm thinking, oh, gee, I'm on again. You know, go to the, you know, that little cubicle, you know, and I have a moment in there. Oh, let's check out what's on Facebook. Don't get disturbed while I'm there. You know, nobody wants to come in there at that time. I can guarantee it. And you know, and then just be who wakes up in the morning. The first thing you do is grab your phone and go to your Facebook feed. Bump. Yeah, come on, be honest. Yeah. Before you go to bed, Snapchat. Yeah, right. What about before you go to bed? You lay down in bed and you like that. Blood's running out of your hand. You know, if the blood's running out of your hand, you've been there a while. All right. So just go. Oh God, I better swap hands. You know, you get them up there, so swipe it. You know, it's gone numb. It's gone dead. Right. So that shows you, and what it's actually doing is first thing in the morning, last thing at night. It's conditioning your mind. It's conditioning your brain. Because there are times that I go to bed, I say, you know what? It's almost like an addiction sometimes, because I go to bed and I go, oh, it's like my phone is beside my bed, and I go, oh, I can feel myself having a battle with trying to figure out what's happening out there in the world, rather than just go to sleep. You know, rather than know that I'm worn out. I probably was having a little snooze on the couch earlier, and I'm walking through to my bedroom, you know, or staggering through the bedroom, you know, to go to bed, and then I lay down in my bed and go, oh, I'll just check Facebook. You know, what does that even mean? And I can't see it properly, so I have to get my glasses. So that's a whole nother level. I'm awake.
And why bother?
Yeah, exactly. Why bother? What's happened in the world? You know, not a lot. You know. Yes. All the time. He lies on the floor and I call him up, he says, nah. And then when I fall asleep, he jumps up, you know, and he's right over, he sprawls sideways on my bed, you know. Okay, yeah, whatever. I'll kick him. No, I love him. So, the study also revealed the more time online, the more self-promotional content appears in posts to get responses. And that shows people's low self-esteem. I'll repeat that in a different way. The more time you spend online, the more self-promotional stuff you want to put out there. Like TBH, you know. Yeah. Have you ever done that? You ever given a TBH? I've given a private TBH a couple of times to a couple of people. It's usually a WTF, you know, so whatever, we'll move on. But why do you keep putting that up there? It's because we're needy humans. Every single one of us need, what are the 4 things?
Attention.
Okay. You know, we tried that. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. You, as a person, as a human being that's got a heartbeat and a brain, those 4 things is what you crave. Whether you like it or not, you will make decisions every single day to meet those 4 needs every single day. Okay. Could be something that you like on Facebook. Oh, if I like that thing that person's doing, they'll like me back when I do my thing. Nah, we never do that, do we? No. Yeah, whatever. I know I do it. I'm a geezer, you know. So the challenge is, here's the thing. There was a young girl a few years ago named Hannah Smith. You might have seen it. It was a big investigation done on online about the different things that were said on some of these social sites. Hannah Smith was a young girl that kept putting cries out for help online on Facebook and things like that.
Everyone thought she was a needy person that just wanted attention.
Yeah, and she ignored it. And what they did, and later on, there was a post on there that said, you know what, you should cut yourself. You know what, you should just take tablets. You know what, you should just kill yourself and end your misery. Like, this was actually recorded. The detectives found all this out. And what they actually found out later is that she had created an alias personality on Facebook, and she was actually posting to herself. She was actually going on Facebook from this alias, personality, and saying to herself, "You should kill yourself, nobody cares." And then as a response, she was looking to see if anybody did. Now, one of the challenges is on Facebook, you might see this a lot, and I see it a lot, and it frustrates me a little bit. They go, there's these big posts that come out, and people go, "I'm just checking whether you're all going to read this and repost that." Don't ever send me one of those, all right? Because you'll get a private TDH, and I'll be really honest. Love you. So, this girl ended her life. The investigation showed that she had done all of this messaging to herself. Now, I think to myself, what was going on in the heart of that young girl to make her feel like that? She was alone. She didn't feel loved.
She didn't have
anyone. And she was very, very needy for somebody to say, to be validating her as a person. This is a really prickly subject sometimes because we all have this little way of deflection of like, no, I'm not needy. I don't need to have people's approval, and that's the real BS register right there. Because the fact is, the minute you can own up and grow up and say, you know what, I am a needy person, it doesn't mean that every decision in your life is craving someone's attention. It's just recognising that as human beings, we need attention. We need it, right? Otherwise, we'd just be widows. We'd just be lonely, We'd just kind of be... You ever seen a lonely widow? What do? Crazy cat lady, yeah?
Yeah.
Now, there's a lady that hangs out here at the shopping centre. Have you seen her? She used to live in the gutter down here. Did you see her? She's a bag lady. Lovely lady. Have you ever stopped to speak to her?
She's actually a blessed soul.
She's bloody beautiful, mate. I stopped at Coles the other day, and I gave her some money, and one of the guys said to me, "Oh, good on you, mate." And I said, "Yeah, no worries." That's right. I had a chat with her, and I tried to make sense of everything she was saying, But I was asking myself the question: how did she get here? How did she get to this point that her self-esteem, that her self-worth, that her sense of significance was so battered to a point that she thought, this is all I've got. Oh, this is what I've got. Somebody's walking past, smoking, threw a cigarette out. It was like piranha. She was like straight onto it, picked it up, start smoking it, and I'm wrestling with my own conscience at that point. What could I do for the self-worth of this woman? What could I do?
Say hi.
I said hi, and I gave her $20. Yeah, is she going to buy booze?
Maybe.
Probably. She's going to buy ciggies? Probably. I'd rather her buy ciggies, maybe not with $20, but I'd rather her buy ciggies, maybe a 5-pack. She might buy ciggies. At least she's smoking clean cigs and not somebody else's festies off the floor. If I was a smoker, I would have just handed my packets over, man. I'm keep quitting. Here you go. But the reality is, guys, there's something happened in her life, or somebody did not take the time to sit down and say, your identity is worth more than this. You, as a human soul, is worth more than picking someone else's rejected ciggy butt out of the gutter and having a little skiggy with that. So when you see that lady, give her some coin.
Or food.
Or food is good too.
Food.
So, a few weeks ago now, I was down the same Coles.
Yeah.
And I saw one of the different ladies, and she got into someone else's car and expected them to take her somewhere, and she wouldn't get out of the car until someone actually drove off and actually took her where she needed to go.
She hangs it around marketplace as well.
I love it. I love people like that. Why do you love people like that?
I don't.
So scary.
Hey? They're scary. She's not going to knife you. She's just going to ask you for some money.
You're sitting in your car, next thing
Yeah.
you know, you're over, say, someone next door to you has some random person just go in their car and just sit there, and they're like...
I've had that. I've been sitting in an intersection, sitting in an intersection, the door opens, I'm like, "Hey!" No, I wasn't, I was like, what's up? Somebody got in, they jump in the car, I had my... No, I didn't. But, I thought I did in my mind, I looked like Bruce Lee in my mind, but really I was like, don't rape me, so it was, somebody jumped in the car and they said, mate, can you give me a lift? I said, and I kind of had that freak out moment. I said, where are you going? He says, I've just stacked my car. I'm trying to get to my girlfriend's house. She's got to go to hospital, blah, blah, blah. I said, where you got to go? It was like 30 kilometres away.
I'll put you in a taxi. You can pay for it.
I took him. Had a fantastic conversation. We're now mates on Facebook.
Does he give you likes?
Yeah. You know, so, don't know. But the reality is, guys, that all of us are looking for some kind of validation. And it becomes a bit like the guys up here after they're eating something, you know, they're going, I need another glass of water. That sense of wanting to be validated or to feel like you're of value to someone, that you mean something, is thirsty and it's not quenched easily. And if we don't deal with who we are, you will never get it met from the people around you. You'll never get it met. Some of us live in denial of that need within us, that is that we need other people to like us. You know, my son was in earlier and he said to me, I've got an a-hole mentality is what he says. I don't care whether people like me or not, you know. I said, really? What about so-and-so? I go, well, I care about whether they like me or not, you know. I said, and then, you know, he goes, oh, well, yeah, okay, I care whether they like me. And I said, oh, what about, you know. So he goes, all right, I need people, all right. And then he left, you know. So I said, love you, you know. So the reality is we can be hurt by a certain situation. We put this wall up that says, you know what, I don't need anyone. Well, that's what you'll get. You'll get loneliness and isolation, and you'll get a sense of real darkness around that sort of stuff and a place of isolation. And what you'll do is you'll convince yourself that you're a different kind of egg and that you can just live like this and you'll be okay.
A lot of people do, they just stay in their house all day and refuse to go outside.
Yeah.
Because at least then no one will hurt you if you go outside.
Yeah, my mum was like that. You know, my mum, before I put her in a home, was like that. Now, it was a hard decision to put my mum in a home because she wanted her independence. Her identity was being at home alone and doing her thing. But there came a point where I had to put mum in a home because she was ringing me 15, 16 times a day here in the office. And if she couldn't get my mobile, she'd ring the office. You know, remember those days? So glad the nurses take care of her now, you know, because it was relentless. She was just needing community, needing people to talk to, and just wanted to be needed as a human being.
And wasn't sure how else to get it other than call her son.
You're right. So, here's the thing. We all struggle with comparison. I don't care whether you think, oh, no, I don't, whatever, you know. Yeah, one day you'll own up. But we all struggle with comparison. If you try to fit into a certain clique of people, you will try and dress, behave, act and speak like those individuals in order to get some kind of acceptance. Have you ever been to a band and you've gone backstage to meet the band? Have you ever done that, you know? Yeah. Is it rad?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you go backstage, you meet the band, and what do you say to them? Do you say that?
To me, I'm wrong.
Proud of you.
I'm so proud of you. Do you say that?
You're my inspiration.
You're my inspiration. You're my inspiration, you know. You got you all over my wall, the shrine, you know. They're only a human. I was listening to a Jimmy Barnes interview this morning on the radio, and I love what Jimmy Barnes said. He said, I'm a singer, not a rock star. It's in his book, it's in his new book, Working Class Man. I've got that book. It's going to be some plain reading for me. But the reality is, he said this. He said, I'm a singer, not a rock star. And the guy who was interviewing said, what does that mean? You're a rock star. And he goes, no, I'm just a man that likes to sing. I don't want to ever be treated as if I'm like precious or more special than any other person. I just want to sing. That's all I want to do. I just want to, all my fans I want to talk to, all my people that I'm hanging out in pubs and clubs, I just want to meet them. I think, man, that took some maturity to say that sort of thing, you know, because he's got millions. He can be a rock star, and he has been, he's proven it, but he doesn't want to be that. There is this interesting thing called digiphrenia. There's this new thing now that they've invented. It's called digiphrenia. You want the meaning? Is the experience of trying to exist in more than one incarnation of yourself at the same time. So that means you're like, now I'm a Gemini, so I get split personality, right? So that's me. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. The other guy's coming out in a minute, mate. You know, so, you know, and so this idea, now, the interesting thing is I have 2 Facebook pages. So I get this, all right? I have two. I have a corporate page, Phil Stenhouse, and then I have my cash page, Phil Stenny. Right, and so some of you may have requested me over times on my Phil Stenhouse page and felt the rejection, delete, don't want to know, ignore.
That's because it's more serious than your other one.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so that is my corporate identity. I do not talk about my personal life on my corporate identity page. So then I have this cash page that I have a few people on and a few people I block and a few people I remove from time to time because they crap on, about their lovely fish. So, none of you was that. Was that? I like to eat fish, don't like to have them. But, the reality is, don't invite me over to your house, you've got a fish tank. So, the challenge for us is quite simply, does that mean somebody said to me, oh, that's a bit hypocritical? I said, no, it isn't. I'm not two different people. I have two different access levels to my life. There's this space that I need to be, and I have to look like that, so I present in a different way. I wear a suit on that one, or wear my leather jacket on this one, my Harley jacket. So, and that's because I have a different identity that I want to portray in those different places. I have a LinkedIn profile that's like my corporate page. How many of you have got multiple social pages and you've got a different picky on each one, or a different thing you say, yeah?
My first one, my first one's Raspberry, and it's just me being me, and then my second one is one that I help out my friend with, and I just read a whole bunch of books and add them to
Cool.
reading list so people can read books.
Yeah. I joined a ukulele Facebook page the other day.
I love ukuleles.
So do I.
I can play it.
They're mad cats on that space, mate. I went on there. Bang, 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 bang. I'm going, I'm so in, I'm not anything. I'm frightened right now because I've just accepted, So, whatever. I'll be a mad ukuleleist at some point, Whatever. Now, here's the thing. So, the other night, how many of you watched The Bachelorette?
Oh,
Come on, own it up.
alright, that's my favourite show.
Yeah. Oh, Bachelor, is it? Oh, The Bachelor or Bachelorette, whichever one it is. What's the... Hang on a second. Aren't they the same?
No.
All right. Okay. So there's one on at the moment.
That's the Bachelorette.
Bachelorette. All right. And look, I just happened to glance at it on a weekly basis. So I happened to look at this thing. I happen to know Sophie Monk, and so I was watching this whole process of her trying to find love.
You know her?
And so the idea there is that she says, she's interviewed by one of the parents. Did you see it the other night? She was interviewed by one of the parents. Are you doing this for the money?
Home visit week.
Home visit week, that's what it was, yes, that's right. Anyway, she would meet the parents, and so it was so good. I'm not encouraging you to watch it, but it's pretty good. So I'm watching this thing, and I'm thinking to myself, righto, they asked a question, are you doing this for money, or whatever, and she says, pretty sure I don't need the money. So I got on Google. Net worth, Sophie Monk. How much do you reckon she's worth?
More than me.
2 million?
Keep going.
4 million?
Keep going.
10 million? 10 million?
9.7
Just a human being, so why would
She's worth, okay, I'll put you out of your misery because it's the Bachelorette, all right? She's net worth of $6 million. And I go, woo, ka-ching, I should ring her. Text, yo, dog, what's up? So anyway, she goes on this date, meet the parents with Stu Landry, I think his name is, right? Do you know the guy? Owns a string of pubs, right? He rocks up, he's on a boat. All of a sudden, I'm in love, right? So the dad asks, are you after my son's money? She goes, no, I've got my own. So I Google, Stu. What do you reckon he's worth? Huh?
4 million.
8 million?
Yeah, 2 million.
2 million?
12.
12 million?
9.3.
20. 9 what's it, 9.3? He's worth $500 million. $500 million. I was in love with him at that point. No, whatever. I said, I'll be your bitch on your boat, so the reaction... I know, I'm inappropriate. I get told off all the time. So glad I'm the boss, Got a board meeting next week, they'll bring it up, don't worry, So the challenge is he's worth $500 million. And so I started thinking to myself in the light of this series that we're doing, what is your worth? What is your net worth? Now, I deal with young people every single day that feel like they're not worth anything. Yeah, they feel like they're worth less, not priceless. And that, to try to convince somebody that they're of value, to try to convince somebody that they're an incredible human being because they were born.
That's one of the
Nice
hardest
pat
things
of
to
Tamsin.
do.
Yeah. So and I agree. She gives praise all the time. She's an amazing individual, young Tamsin. It's amazing. She is like a value to our entire organisation. I'm so glad she's part of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for your existence.
So the challenge is this, right? You can go your whole life trying to chase money and be worth something. You can try and chase fame to be worth something. You can try and have as many friends on Facebook, and that somehow gives you this sense that you're worth something. Is it true?
No.
Because I got a friend of mine I asked on the weekend, he's got 5,000, so he's maxed out. I think it's 5,000. He's got to create a new profile. I said to him on the weekend, how do you feel about having 5,000? He goes, yeah, pretty rad. I said, have you got enough friends? He goes, yeah. I said, why have you created a second profile?
He's not going to stop more.
Because he
from
says,
money.
I want more friends. I said, 5,000 is not enough. So here's the challenge. In psychology, they talk about any human deep relationship, the most you can manage at a deep level of friendship. I'm not talking about intimacy. I'm talking about a relationship with friends, is 5. 5 people that you could connect with on a regular basis, go to a deep level, they know your journey, they're with you for a long time, and it's about 5.
I'm never going to find anyone else.
Isn't that amazing? No, yes you will. You're in this room, you're a bridge builder, girl. So that you're already part of a crew. So the challenge for us guys is quite simply, what is your worth? If you feel like you do things because you're not of value, if you do things on Facebook, if you do behaviours to gain attention, and sometimes it's tricky, the attention-seeking behaviour, because somebody can look very pretty on the outside, very lush, very lovely, very on the outside, and you think, nothing going on there. Nothing going on there. No, as in, I don't mean like that. But I mean that you can perceive them as if there is nothing disturbing them. I had a chat with a young girl about 5 weeks ago, off-site here, and she began to tell me about what was happening in her house, in her home life. I'm going, oh, what? Because when you look at her, she smiles at you, she's lovely, she's always helpful, never gives you never looks sad, never looks hungry, never looks like she's needy for love or attention. And I said, what? And I said, well, how do you mask all that? She goes, I just smile and nobody asks me questions.
Smile is the best.
She said, but it's torture. I'm actually living in torture. So I said, okay, we're going to journey through that together. That's the grouse part here. You've got pack leaders that are here tonight that you could take a risk with tonight and actually share, you know what, my identity's buggered. These are the sorts of things that I do to get my needs met, to get people to like me, to get people to accept me, to make me feel like I'm validated, to stop that feeling of comparison all the time. Because comparison can twist you out of shape. Even when you're lying in your bed at night time with your head on the pillow, your own mind can twist you out of shape. Just by comparison and validation. So here's the thing. Your identity is an expression of your own inner self. What you do on the outside. And I always ask myself, who am I? And I don't mean who am I as in like I don't know who I am.
You're Phil.
Thank you. I ask myself, who am I? Am I my own person, or am I a blend of a whole lot of other people? Have I got things from other people and I've sort of mixed that up in the blender and out came this thing, and this is called Phil, but he doesn't really know who he is or where he's going or what he's doing. And that took me in my 20s a long time to try and figure out. It took me nearly a decade to try and figure out, hang on a second, I like who I am, I like what I do, and I like where I go, and other people, I hope, like to do that with me, and if they don't, I don't care, see you later, I'll get the next lot. And every year I ask myself the same question, who am I hanging out with? Am I adding value to people's lives? Are they adding value to my life? If I'm hanging out with people that are bringing me down, I don't hang out with them long. It's not that I'm better than them, it's just I don't like to be brought down. I like to be zinging. All the time. I like to be riding my Harley. I like riding bikes with people that are into that. I like people in business. I love hanging out with young people because they've just got no fear. So here's the thing. You've got to ask yourself, how potent is your identity? And potent means how strong is it? How deep is it? What's the colour of it? Is it a strong colour or is it a pastel? Something a little bit transparent.
Is it black or is it white?
Well, we could go there. Michael Jackson had something to say about
that.
But so the challenge, guys, is simply this. I knew a guy about 10 years ago that had amnesia. Was in a motorcycle accident. Helmet got split from the front to the back. Went straight into the windscreen of a car and split the helmet on. Thank God he had the helmet on. But he did suffer amnesia. Everything else was fine. He could eat and walk and talk and do all that sort of stuff. But he woke up not knowing who the hell he was. And people had to come into his world, friends, family members, brothers, sisters, all that sort of stuff, come into his world and begin to rebuild him and tell him who he was. Isn't that an interesting feeling?
It should be who he used to be.
Well, he didn't know who he used to be. That was all gone. And so the doctors suggested to him that he would probably, because of the brain shock, he would never regain. There's short-term amnesia and then there's long-term amnesia. So he went 10 years with people telling him who he was and how they wanted him to be. 12 months ago, he took his own life because he didn't know who he was. He just could not figure out everybody else's. Now I think everybody had the right intentions and everybody knew him at a different level. But 12 months ago he said no. Stepped off a train station. So the challenge for us guys is if we can't figure this out while you're young, this thing will torture you. This identity challenge will torture you your entire life. And it doesn't have to be this huge weight that you can't bear. It just start to get in touch with who you are. I struggle with. Could be the simple statement that you say to some of your pack people today. Your bestie, I struggle with this. I wrestle with that. I'm insecure about this. I'm fearful about that. And here's the difference, right? I'll tell you the difference. In that movie, Chasing Mavericks, they talk about the difference between fear and panic. There's a scene where he's in the water and he's deep and he's holding his breath. He's being trained how to expand his lungs. And this white pointer, this shark, 15-foot shark comes in and he's under the water and bubbles are going. That's what I'd be doing. I'd be walking on that water. Jesus, I'll be back. So it would have been, that whole moment. And the guy, his instructor, is looking at him. He grabs him and he gives him this serious look through his goggles, as serious as you can be. So you imagine that moment. And he gives him that moment. As he got out of the water, he said, what happened? He said, what do you mean, a 15-foot shark? We've come past us and blah, blah, blah. He said, were you afraid of that? He goes, well, yeah, of course I was afraid. I thought it was going to eat me, And he goes, fear is healthy. Fear stops us from doing some things at times. But he says, what I saw in you was panic. Panic will kill you every time. And what happens is in our identity, when we don't fit in, when we don't get around something that is healthy to us, helping us, we can panic. It's called anxiety. We get anxiety, and anxiety will kill you. It'll kill your friendship circles. It'll kill your motivation. It could end up taking your own life, but it will kill you as a person. So guys, I really want to encourage you tonight. We're going to stop the video and I'm going to show you a video because as I was preparing